It's certainly time for our dose of celebrity news. Joining me from New York this week is our friendly celebrity insider, Nelson Aspen. Good morning. Oh, great to see you there in New York. But you've got some really sad news to start with, I understand.
I do. We're going to have to dim the lights on Broadway tonight in honor of the passing, sad passing of John Travolta's two dogs. Now, this is a very bizarre accident, and John Travolta's just the sweetest guy, and he's had just such a tragic series of sad events happen to him in the last couple of years, and now culminating with the death of his two dogs. He was flying with his family and the dogs to Maine. They were off to the state of Maine, and the airplane landed. And one of the handlers was walking the dogs on their leashes away from the plane, and a service vehicle somehow or another managed to strike the dogs and killed them. Very sad. We don't know if John Travolta was actually in the cockpit of the plane because, as you may know, he owns his own plane and enjoys flying his own plane. So sad news for animal lovers, and Travolta in particular.
Oh, that is just awful, because didn't he lose his teenage son just a couple of years ago?
That's right. That was the last thing, and you know, just so sad. And all of us who have pets don't want to hear those stories, but you know, especially send your good thoughts out to John Travolta, and maybe if you're religious-minded, pray to Saint Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of animals.
On to, well, I don't know if it's happier news, but you know, nothing involving animals. Lindsay Lohan. Well, we hope not. Anyway.
Oh. Well, she's a bit of an animal herself. Yeah. I think we talked the other week about how she was desperate to get to the Cannes Film Festival, even if she had to, heaven forbid, pay her own way. Well, she did get over to the Cannes Film Festival, but yes, she did. She managed to get there, and I'm sure all of France is heaving a collective sigh of relief, mixed with a healthy dose of panic. But the interesting thing is, here in the States, today it's Tuesday, and she has a court date in Beverly Hills on Thursday, because she is still on probation and could face 1 to 3 years behind bars if she doesn't toe the line with all of her legal proceedings and attend her alcohol rehab classes and do her community service and all that kind of stuff. So she's got 48 hours to get back to Beverly Hills and appear before the judge. And there happens to be one big, giant problem with her getting back to California, and that's the Iceland volcano. Yes. And the ash in the air. Of course, it's screwing up flights to and from Europe all the time. And if she doesn't make it back in time, it's a bit of a cliffhanger. The judge could issue a bench warrant for her arrest. So Lindsay, I don't know, take a fast boat.
I'm surprised that she even went knowing the risk of the Icelandic volcano and the fact that she had a court date. I mean, it's not a very sensible decision.
Well, sensible is not an adjective that we usually use when describing Miss Lindsay Lohan. Sarah, if it were you and I that had a bench warrant out for our arrest, I don't think we'd be tooling around Cannes trying to promote our role as a racy porn star, Linda Lovelace, which is her next job. Oh, my goodness, that's right, that's right. Now, speaking of Lindsay
Lohan, for some reason, Thingy is our guest on our show today, and you perked up when you heard about Lindsay. You're a bit of a fan, Thingy.
Well, I would be a bit of a fan if I could meet her. Do you think perhaps Nelson and I could pop on over to Cairns as well?
Well, I don't know. There might be a very strict quarantine rule about thingies coming in and out of the country.
I don't know.
I tell you what, you do that rather well.
Do you think she likes beige men?
Yes.
I'd call Thingy kind of beige, really, wouldn't you?
Lindsay Lohan?
Yeah.
I think she goes for beige men, beige women, Beijing. She's all over the map.
Now, speaking of controversial, Sean Penn, what on earth is he up to? Is he over there as well?
Well, he skipped the Cannes Film Festival, and he's got a new film out with Naomi Watts called Fair Game. It's the story about that outed CIA agent, Valerie Plame. It's supposed to be a great, great film. I mean, talk about, you know, big blockbusters. But Sean Penn has been so politically active and keen on helping the victims in Haiti that he has skipped the Cannes Film Festival. Instead, he's going to be testifying before a Senate committee in Washington, D.C. on behalf of the refugees and victims of the Haitian earthquake. So, you know, you can accuse Sean Penn for a lot of things, you know, being a hothead or being politically active, but you can't deny he's really putting his money where his mouth is and his time where his mouth is when it comes to helping out the people of Haiti. That hasn't deterred him, however, from taking advantage of his new status as a divorced man, because he has been spotted out and about with a new lady friend, having public displays of affection and all of that. So it is important to squeeze in a little bit of personal time, even when you're being a great actor and political activist.
Well, that's what you say, don't you, Thingy?
Exactly. Hey, tell me, Nelson, have you got any gossip about Big Bird? A subject, you know, really close to my heart.
You know, I can tell you something about Big Bird. If you're a big fan of Big Bird, as I am, having grown up on Sesame Street, it's so funny. I'll tell you, you can buy anything in Los Angeles. I was driving back to my house in Los Angeles one day, and I saw that there was someplace having a yard sale. I had a friend whose 40th birthday was coming up, and I saw all these feather boas out on the street, and I thought, I'm going to get her a feather boa for her 40th birthday. And I got this gorgeous, bright yellow feather boa, and she loved it. But I said, where did you ever get this? And I paid like $8 for it. The guy who was having the yard sale, you never know who you're going to run into in Los Angeles, had been a wardrobe designer for Sesame Street, and these were actually feathers from Big Bird. So she has an $8 genuine Big Bird feather boa. All birds molt. Don't panic, Thingy. They weren't like plucked from Big Bird. He molted them naturally.
Oh, that's all right then.
That's all right. Hey, just to finish with, and I know this is something Thingy's been dying to talk about, is Miss USA, because you were hoping for a bit of an intro. I know. He's just fainted. What's going on with that? There have been allegations of stripping. I hear a more mature woman's involved in some way.
Yes, well, let's see, her name is Rima Faki. I think I pronounced it correctly, and she's the first Lebanese-American Miss USA. She comes from right here in New York City, and there was a little bit of, I mean, who doesn't have a few lost pole dancing photos in the closet? That just happens to the best of us. But the latest controversy is what happened backstage. This is really strictly verboten, but one of the guests of the pageant, Joan Rivers, none other than Joan Rivers, was trying on the crown backstage. The crown is only supposed to be worn by the queen, so Joan Rivers kind of who cares if the actual queen was pole dancing? Joan Rivers, very disrespectful, wearing the crown around, trying to get a joke out of it. I did get to wear the Miss Universe, what's it called? Sash once, but you would never disrespect the crown.
Isn't that interesting? Well, look, Nelson, great having you in the show. Thingy, thank you also. Your journalistic skills are very impressive, I have to say.
Nelson, take care. I better go and see Hayden.
Hard hitting.
All right, thank you so much, Nelson. We'll see you on Friday.